So thank you, Olga, for taking time out of your day to meet with me. It is an honor to get to know you better, as I've already told you. I'd like to briefly introduce you to our viewers. So for those of you who haven't had the chance to take a look at Olga's interview and profile on the Foundation's website and social media pages, she is an ex-head coach of a number of high school, college, and university basketball teams, girls, boys, women, and men, including nationals team. Her teams have won numerous provincial championships. She was also the first North American woman to coach a men's university basketball team as head coach of the Université du Québec à Montréal Citadins. Her professional coaching career took place over 48 years and has definitely impacted the world of sports as we know it. So I just summed up a life's worth of information in a few sentences. Would you like to add something to complete your presentation to our viewers today?
No, I perhaps just to mention that I did do Quebec provincial junior and juvenile teams, and I did do a short stint with the men's national team. So, and I apologize for my cat, but he's a very sociable cat, and he'll appear every once in a while. I apologize for that.
Everyone is welcome on Zooms during COVID-19. So I would like to start with maybe a pretty big question. What signifies courage for you in your daily life?
It's courage. It's basically not being afraid to take the next step. It's if you have done your homework, you have worked at your game, if you have tried to develop as much knowledge and experience along the way to take that next step, there's always an opportunity for you, and it's for you to open that door and say, hey, I'll give it a try, and I may fall on my face or I may be successful, but it's important for me to say, I tried it, I did my best with what I had and the tools that I brought to the trade. And that really deals with my the education that I've had, the background, my family background, and the fact that I was educated as a teacher at Université de Montréal. I was a physical education teacher. I certainly got the backgrounds of what it means to teach young people.
And at what point, so I believe that courage is also forging a career in a more male prominent field. At what age did you realize you wanted to take a career path in professional sports?
I did it. I really did it. I was coaching high school girls, the school where I was teaching physical education. Yeah. And it was a girls' school. The school went co-ed. Okay. The coach that came up from the junior ranks was a student at Dawson College, and he came to me. He lived in my area. I didn't know him. He says, Olga, he says, I don't have the time to coach these guys. Come on out to the park, and we're going to work with them and just teach them what you know. So he helped me out along the way. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. He helped me understand what it was to coach athletes at that level. And from there, we just happened to be that one year we had a great combo of kids, and we went on to win the championship. So I figured, oh, okay, this is not bad. And that year, my team went 0-12. My men's team went 54-7.
Wow.
So where do you think I would go? It's what I was talking about, is having an opportunity. I had success. I had an opportunity. The college, Champlain College, was looking for both a men's coach and a women's coach at the same time. Yeah. So I applied and I said, look, I've had a bit of success with men. Would you consider me for the men's spot? And lo and behold, they even took me over a guy who played university ball at the University of Laurentian, and he ended up being my assistant. And in our second year, what do? We go and win again. And I thought, well, wait a minute, this is getting too good. And so along the way, I followed a lot of sessions, a lot of basketball sessions, a lot of coaching sessions. And Coach Donahue, who was the late Coach Donahue, mm-hmm. who was the men's coach of the men's national team, liked the work that I did, because I went to one of his camps and I had brought 2 of my players, and he was very impressed. And there was an opportunity to apply for an apprenticeship job with the men's national team. And I figured, I'll put again, opportunity.
Why not?
Taking the courage, taking the step. The worst thing he can do is say no. I didn't know what I was getting myself involved in. And sure enough, my application was accepted. And I thought, well, wait a minute. I mean, I got a full-time job. I got to travel to Ottawa every weekend and work with the team as they prepare for the Olympics. Okay, fine. He decides, look, you're good enough to take on the drills with these guys. I thought, wait a minute. I'm a 30-year-old. I'm going to be coaching, doing my specialty defense with these men, and putting them through their paces. And I mean, for him to give me that opportunity, again, somebody else who took the courage to say, hey, she knows what she's doing. We need her skills. We could use her skills. I worked with them, and it was just an unbelievable experience. And I also, I got involved with Basketball Canada, and I got involved with Basketball Quebec. So all these things, it says, I'm a good teacher, and that was the basis. I enjoyed teaching, and it just blew up after that. I had to leave Champlain because it was a summer and a full year in Ottawa. Mm-hmm. And I did travel with the team, and that's when I got exposed to the international game. And I thought, talk about getting your eyes opened. So you see where opportunity, taking that first step, and then being exposed to a whole new scene. Mm-hmm. I just ate it all up.
And who inspired you as a coach? Sometimes whenever through our careers, there's people who have inspired us to become the person that we become. And who was that person for you?
My physical education teacher. She was a Hungarian who came to Montreal, and she taught me phys ed at Holy Names. And she was a basketball fanatic. She played basketball in Hungary. She gave me the love for the game. And in the 70s, we're talking early 60s, really. Women's basketball was non-existent. I mean, I followed her. I went first to Marianopolis College, which is a CEGEP, and I played on that team, but there was something missing in me, in my career. And she says, well, why don't you come to the University of Montreal and play for me? She was coaching the team then. Played for her, got our butts whipped in Ontario. I think our tallest post player was 5'6". I was 5'4" and pushing it. Again, another exposure to a different style of play. Mm-hmm. And I have to credit her. She really inspired me and took me along, and that's what it is. It's a bit of mentorship. It's a bit of take by the hand. Eddie Pomacala is the Dawson student, took me by the hand. I met his coach at Dawson. He took me by the hand, and it's like people having confidence in what you do. Why? Because you worked at it, you became more knowledgeable, and you expressed your enthusiasm through the sport.
And what could parents, teachers, friends of folks wanting to integrate a non-traditional career path, what can they say or do to support them adequately? So you've talked about basically walking hand in hand with people, leveling people up. What are some things that they can also do as well?
Well, my parents didn't want me to go into phys ed. They wanted me to be a doctor and a biochemist. Okay. But they were hard workers, and they showed me the way of working hard. So if anything, my parents gave me this love of not being afraid to work hard,
Yeah.
so that you can produce for others. And that's what they did. I mean, we had a family. They worked. My dad worked all day. My mom worked almost all night, and still managed to produce four very educated family members. And so it's called, okay, there are obstacles in the way. Parents didn't want you to, but for some reason they saw that I loved what I was doing, and didn't stop me and encouraged me in that way. But and it was hard because coaching at the time didn't bring in money. So that's why it was good that I had a full-time job as a consultant. Well, I was a phys ed teacher, and then I became a phys ed consultant. And so I was bringing in money to the family. Okay. But over and above that, I was never home because I'd be coaching here and there and everywhere. Yeah. So, but they never stopped me from doing it. They, you can sort of say, well, no, you're not going to do that because we need this. Yeah. Just give me a little bit of confidence, and if I can prove that I can do it, yeah. It's and I see that with my I don't have family myself. I don't have kids, but with my nieces and nephews, I look at their parents and I see how they encourage the girls and the boys to be themselves. And, and in this day and age, be yourself doesn't necessarily have a great connotation in some areas, yeah. But with the right tools and the right experiences and the mentorship along the way, yeah. I feel that the two go hand in hand.
Definitely. And you spoke about an interesting yet alarming statistic during your interview with the foundation. And so in a national study, 67% of girls and women drop out of sports compared to only 1 out of 10 of their male counterparts. So from your personal experience, when does this dropout trend start for girls and women?
Well, I think it's during their teens. You get into the boys, you get into plays, you get into dances, you get into all kinds of situations, your friends, and the opportunities are not that many. I don't know. I know here in Quebec, it's only been lately in the last maybe 15 years that girls sports has taken on a bigger focus.
Yeah.
Girls playing basketball, it was like, and they were being coached by former players who really donated their time, were volunteers. I'm starting to talk French, des bénévoles. So, the attraction to continue on at the next level was like, well, I got other things I'd like to do. And now with technology and with internet, and I have a nephew who works on the computer like all day, and he gets paid that way and everything. And it's just different style of life for girls, especially for girls. And it comes back to, if those parents are not encouraging them to get involved in the sports and supporting them. My parents never came to a game or anything like that, but the people around me were good that way. And so, of course, the coach is the leader right there.
So you need a strong network to...
It helps. And if you don't have it, you try to build it. And it's not easy, because when I got into the men's game, I would go to national championships, and the men, there's the old boys club in the corner over there, and little old coach Olga over here, and like they tolerated me, but that was about it. Yeah. So it's, having big shoulders and saying, hey, it keeps coming back to, I have skills. I know what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing. I want to give that love to these players, and let's go on that. And if it's a young teenager, and in their 19, 20, 21, 22, other factors get involved. It's like, I have a mind of my own, if I want to do skydiving, or if I want to do snorkeling, or if I want to do art, I do develop a love for something.
Yeah.
Pass it on.
Pass it
Don't
on.
be afraid.
I like that. I like that. Pass it on, pass your passion on. And that's great. And with your career, what would you say was the biggest difference between coaching female and male teams?
Would you believe nothing? No, I mean,
I would actually.
Okay, it's the level of the game.
Okay.
The level of the game. Okay, your girls, and I always remember this. I had one girl who, Italian background. The mother said, "You're in places at home doing dishes. Never mind playing," but she was a great player.
Yeah,
and we just developed her tools, and we taught her the game, and we taught her to love the game. And with my guys, it's the same thing. We had camaraderie. We respected one another. We worked together. We worked as a team. And you want to do that with women, whether they're women or men. The only difference was, and now it's changing, the only difference was the men were more athletic than the women at that point, and more powerful. And they had that instinct that a lot of the women wouldn't have, because they didn't play sports when they were younger. Like, you always see the guys out in the hockey rink. How many girls do you see out in the hockey rink? And we're just talking about skinny, the game of just shoving the puck around.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with tennis. It's the same thing with badminton. It's I'm quicker, guy. At younger ages, they're not necessarily, but they do become quicker and more athletic.
Yeah.
And the explosion of the game that sort of attracted me more, and then there's what I didn't like. I'm sorry, I know you're a girl, but the girls would go, yeah, and they would cry a lot more. The guys would just suck it up and get going,
Yeah.
So it was an attitude, but not the girl's fault.
Yeah.
Just the culture and society didn't allow her to become that little aggressive, little very dominant figure in her area.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure. And what are the next steps that we need to take as a society so that all sports professionals are paid and recognized at the same level as male identifying sports professionals?
Well, I mean, first of all, coaching has to be recognized as a profession, and it's not like in the States where the women or the men are making thousands and millions of dollars. Even when I was coaching at the university level, and I started the program in 2003, they were only able to pay me a part-time salary for a full-time job. When you had people at other universities that were making $100,000s of dollars.
Yeah.
Why? Because the university invested in it. Do the high schools and the elementary schools invest in sport? It's starting. Starting, but boy, is it slow. It's high school coaches are still making like $3,000. I mean, that's a stipend. It's not a salary. I know that the coach that replaced me at UQAM, he was hired full time and he was making a better salary than me. Yeah. But that's because we enforced the administration to say, look, you've got to find the monies to, and with marketing, with sponsorship, with there are means. There are a lot of means out there, and of course, exposure. Okay, how many guys on the weekend? I was watching. How many guys are playing NBA and NCAA men's games, and you get every once in a while the women's NCAA games. Yeah. How many university Canadian games do you see? Unfortunately, with the pandemic, not this year, but how many women's games did you really see as opposed to the men's games on TV? You don't. So, really don't. It's like, best kept secret.
Yeah.
Women do have very good successes. And I mean, we have a group that we're starting up. It's called Basketball Coaches of Canada. It's just starting up. And we just started up an advisory committee. And on the advisory committee, we've got a girl that played she was an Olympian, from Ontario, two-time Olympian, and then played professional ball in Europe. And I mean, she's going to be our big spokesperson, because I need her to sort of say, I did it. Kia Nurse did it. Okay. And there's names, but I mean, I can count on one hand girls' names that are prominent, and guys' names, well, you know, that's all they talk about is how so-and-so is in the NBA. Well, there are women that are playing in the WNBA. There are even women coaching in the NBA that are Canadian.
And what's your role in this new group? Are you one of the founders? Did you get approached to be part of it?
I got approached to be part of it. Why? Because
you have a lovely career behind you, that's for sure. And still,
well, yeah, but the fact is it's the guy that there are three key people. One's an administrator in Winnipeg. Another is a well-known coach in Nova Scotia at St. Francis of Xavier University. And he and I are both in the Hall of Fame of Basketball Canada. So, of course, they're using the awards that I have won as my profile to encourage, to speak to women, and I may not be the mentor, but I would take a person like the girl I'm speaking about is Tamara Tatham. Take a person like that and put her in the forefront. And our purpose is to help young coaches become coaches, and then to show them how they can move up the ranks. Okay. Because no one showed me how to move up the ranks. I just took the step. But there are means and ways, but nobody knows about them. So we're hoping, it just started. I mean, we're talking maybe just before Christmas. And we've got people that are involved in marketing. We've got people who are involved in sponsorship. We've got people from professional coaches that are coaches in the NBA or part-time, assistant coaches. Mm-hmm. We got former Olympic athletes who played on our men's and women's national teams. And we have an administrator. The administrator is the executive director of Basketball Manitoba. And we're just starting to talk with Basketball Canada and say, we don't want to do what you're doing, which is basically curriculum development and style of play, and then all the contracts and the Olympic team and whatnot. But we want to just help coaches become better coaches and be able to move along through the system, both men and women. But because I know I've had a lot of CEGEP students, college students, come to me and say, so I'm helping out Trevor, and so what can I do? Yeah. All right. I would say, okay, try this or try this, and work with him, or just at least take notes while you're sitting on the bench if he doesn't involve you. But try to get involved in some way, and take the time to learn the game. Take the time to learn the game, not only from an experience point of view, but also from an educational and knowledgeable point of view.
And if you had to take a step back and look at your career, what are you most proud of? And I say take a step back, but your career is still ongoing. So as of right now, if you take a look.
No, I'm retired. I am retired. Some people pull me back, but well, I think the thing is the connections I have with my players and the stories that they tell me about their experiences when they were with us. I mean, I'm still in touch with two players who are in Florida, and just talking to one of them, he works in a senior women's home, senior home. One is in marketing. One of my former players from Dawson College is in charge of player development with the Philadelphia 76ers. And I mean, here's a kid that was from Burundi, took him in, his wrist was no thicker than this at the time. And I helped him at the time get recruited. The people from the States would come to his home. Of course, his parents didn't speak English, so I'd be the translator. And he played professional ball. I've had a player that has played at Harlem Globetrotters, and we're still in contact. He's coaching now. He has a daughter that's like 6'3". He was 7'3", by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, and a lot of my former players are involved in coaching. As a matter of fact, one of my former players from Dawson and UQAM is now the head coach at UQAM of the men's team. And I have another former player who's the head coach of the women's team. So there's a lot of communications. And when you talk to them about their experiences, it's like, we had a great time, you know? Yeah, you were pretty tough on us. Like, and then they give me stories. Oh my goodness. Don't ever tell that story. But I really did care about my players. Like, many of my players were from low income families. And I mean, one player that I recruited, just to give you an example, I went to his home and he was just there with his mom. He says, "You want something to drink?" And I says, "If you got some water." He opened the fridge, and I'm serious. There were 2 bottles of water and a bottle of a container of peanut butter. End of story. So I have connections. Like I was very involved in my parish, and the parish priest was a hockey fanatic, and he followed our players. He followed my career all the way through. And he says, "I can get you food for these guys, and I can get you food for them." And so we were able to help them out, not only on the basketball court, but he cared about them. Yeah. I cared about their future. I cared about their playing abilities. I cared about whether they would have the focus that day, as opposed to having the focus of my stomach is empty, you know? So, you know, and I drove a few players home, like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'd get home at 5 o'clock in the morning and have to be back in my office at 8:30. But why? Because I believed in these players. I believed in what they were doing. Yeah. And they believed in me. So you got to develop you sort of say, oh, wait a minute, a woman developing a relationship with a man, not good. Locker room, what goes on? It says, look, there are protocols. I always had a male assistant coach. He would go in and he'd establish the atmosphere of the players before a game or after a game. And then I would come in after they were all dressed and everything. But I mean, I had to be careful, all the sex problems that they have with this coach and that coach. Not that I even thought of it then, but now afterwards you sort of say, I'm glad I did the right thing.
And your story really inspires me. I'm really, really honored that I had this moment with you this morning to get to know you even better. And I would like to ask you one last question before leaving off today. And it's, what is the message or words of encouragement you would like to give to folks that don't identify as male, that want to pursue their careers in more male prominent fields?
Again, I'm sorry, but I'm going to keep coming back to, what have you done to improve your knowledge? What have you done to improve your education of the game? What have you improved upon you to read a bit about sports psychology and sport nutrition and physical training? At first, I never had a physical trainer. I never had a therapist. And so you get to learn what they do and how they do it and why they do it. And it's like opening up your field of knowledge, taking it all in and slowly putting it together when you have this teaching opportunity that was given to you, or this experience opportunity given to you, or if you offered to help out with a mini basketball team, how did you handle the kids? You know, how did you handle the parents? And you gotta have a few tools behind you. Plus, you better have a big set of shoulders, because yes, the opportunities are there. Okay, people will walk all over you. Yes. Okay, know what you want. Don't be afraid to set, and they say just set 1 or 2 goals. Don't set a whole bunch of goals. If you can achieve 1 or 2 goals at a time, okay, then you're moving along the right path. But you've got to develop that pathway. And don't be afraid to don't be afraid. You know, it's, as I say, that doesn't it come back to courage?
It does. It does come back to courage. And I just see time is flying. I will end on this note. So thank you very much for this inspiring interview. I think you embody courage very well.